come shine. Guys! High as a mountain and deep as a river, come rain or come shine.
Today we are adding the verse of come rain or come shine. I am labeling it here so we know where it begins. Then we are going to find our B line, that third line on the staff, and add our note. We do not need to add a flat on the staff here because we have a B flat in our key signature. Right next to our B flat, we are adding another B flat, a quarter note. We do not need to add that flat sign again because it is in our key signature. Next, on to our A, which we do have to add a flat because it is not in the key signature. When you add a flat or a sharp or an accidental on the staff, not in the key signature, but just on the staff before a note, that is called an accidental. Make sure you add the accidental in the space or the line right before your note. This A flat we just added actually needs to be an eighth note. So we are going to add a B flat right here and connect the stems. We do not have to add the accidental because there is a B flat located in our key signature. Please tell me that I'm not the only one that noticed there are only 3 beats in this measure. So this is not the right amount of beats. This is a 4/4 time signature. So we need 4 beats in our measure. I figured out that this, what I thought was quarter note, actually is a half note. If I go back to the music I'm transcribing from, that B flat I have right here actually has a little dot of space in there. So I realized that is not a quarter note, that is a half note, but it's kind of hard to see. This is why it's so important to understand our time signature, and that this time signature said there's 4 beats in each measure, so I needed to make sure that the math added up to 4 beats. So we caught it just in time. Finally, we can move on to our next measure. We are drawing a quarter note in the C space, that third space, because F-A-C-E in the spaces. Make sure your stem is going down. Then we are adding a half note on the F space, that first space with our stem going up, and then 2 eighth notes on the F space, that first space. We are connecting our stems of our eighth notes, and then we have enough beats in our measure. 1 beat plus 2 beats plus a half equals 4. Remember how the patterns in a song make a song sound like a song? Well, our first measure in our verse, we are repeating that in our next measure. Yay, makes it easier. So we are drawing a half note on the B line. On that third line, we are drawing a half note. After that, we are drawing a quarter note on the B line. Then we are adding 2 eighth notes, 1 in the A space and 1 in the B line. And we are connecting those stems, we are connecting those eighth notes. Remember, we have an accidental, that flat that goes before our A note. You have to add that to make it an A flat. I know you all noticed that mistake there, so I have to erase it really quick because it's really bugging me. I know you're gonna love Harold Arlen right now for making sure there was a whole note at the end of this phrase on our C space, so add that in there. We have 4 more measures to go, and then we are done with our verse for today. For our next measure, we are drawing a half note on our D line. I will fix that first. Let's try that again. A half note on our D line, that fourth line, and make sure your stem is going down. We are staying on our D line and drawing a quarter note, which makes it easier, making sure our stem is still going down. Next, we are going to draw 2 eighth notes. One on our C space, in our C space, and one on our D line. You're making those stems going down, and then you're connecting them together like little friends. We are now in the 6th measure of our verse. We are going to draw a quarter note in the E space, that top space. We are going to add an accidental, a flat, right before the E in the E space, because we do not have that in our key signature. So we must add the accidental. Moving on, we are adding a half note in the C space. That is the 3rd space from the bottom. And finally, we are ending with 2 eighth notes, one in the C space, that 3rd space, and one on the D line, the 4th line of our staff. I really wanted to point out the patterns in the rhythm of these 2 measures. We have quarter note, half note, eighth note, eighth note. Even though they are different pitches, some of them are higher, some of them are lower, it doesn't matter. It still has a pattern because the rhythm is the same. Our next 2 notes will be eighth notes, one in our top space, our E space. The next eighth note is going to be in our C space, our 3rd space. We need an accidental, an E flat there. And then draw those stems going down and connect them. Next, we are adding a quarter note on the D line, that 4th line with the stem going down. We are drawing a quarter note in the C space, that 3rd space, with our stem going down. Then 2 eighth notes will end our measure. As you can see, I had to move everything over because everything was too squished and I could not fit in my final 2 eighth notes. So if you need to, take some time to erase your notes and scooch them over a little bit to the left. I'm now adding my B eighth note and my G eighth note. Those stems are going up. I'm connecting them together. And I'm really taking the time to leave all of my mistakes in there so you can see that even though I've made mistakes, it's still okay. On to our final measure of the day. We are ending with a quarter note on our A space and, oops, I kind of drew the stem kind of in the middle of the note head there. It's supposed to be on the right, so I'm going to fix that. And then I am ending with a dotted half note on my G line, that 2nd line. And that is it for today.
I guess when you met me, it was just one of those things. But don't ever bet me, 'cause I'm gonna be through if you let me.
Not crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy.